Well, in terms of the timing, Andrew, a couple of things. First of all, April 10th, that's the week the Liberals are planning to introduce the legislation to make marijuana legal in this country, and to do so by Canada Day of next year. That's the plan. That's what we know about the timing. In terms of the details, we know that Ottawa plans to put itself in charge of making sure that the supply is safe and secure of marijuana in this country, and they would also be in charge of providing the licenses for producers in Canada. There are other question marks, though, particularly on the provincial front, because the provinces would be in charge of a lot of controversial things, including how and where to sell marijuana, at what price. And while Ottawa would set a minimum age of 18, provinces would be in charge of deciding if they want to raise that age or not. Take a look at Quebec Premier Philippe Couillard talking about the role of the provinces here.
I'm not opposed to the principle of what is coming forward, apparently, but before I say more, I need to see the text of the bill, because a lot of the details, of course, have to be clarified. We should also be careful not to add too much responsibilities on the shoulders of provinces, for example, regulation, implementation, how we're going to test people for this. So we want to make sure that everybody will play its part in the implementation of the bill.
And Andrew, lots of questions, of course, coming from the provinces, but there's going to be other questions too. In the meantime, before marijuana is legal, what happens to the people who get convicted while it's still illegal? That's one of the questions, for example, that the NDP is going to be raising when this bill is tabled.
And what kind of revenue can the government expect from this?
A lot of money here at stake. Of course, the Liberals have been careful when talking about this to look at it through a public safety perspective and not from a taxation perspective, but you can't avoid looking at the numbers. The parliamentary budget officer looked at it and said, right off the get-go, you're looking at tax revenues potentially north of $600 million, and that would increase as the market matures to potentially billions of dollars. And the Prime Minister has talked about wanting to see some of that money go into treatment programs, for example. But taxation, pricing, that's going to be one of the key debates here, particularly around pricing and finding the right pricing point. Take a look at what Health Minister Jane Philpott had to say earlier.
We are doing this for a number of reasons. One of the reasons is that we know that Canada has the highest rates in the world of cannabis use amongst young people, and particularly amongst young adults, where we see 30% of young adults accessing cannabis. We also want to make sure that the profits are kept out of the hands of criminal organizations.
And based on that, you've got to figure out, okay, what's the price for marijuana? Because if the price is too high, that black market will have a reason to survive. And if it's too low, maybe you're encouraging consumption. So plenty of debates coming. Again, the bill is coming week of April 10th, and then the Liberals are hoping to have it all in place by Canada Day of next year.